Welcome back to Snippetcoder, and we are back in a video. In this video, we will talk about how we can integrate the email OTP system in our Flutter application. So this is our Flutter application. You can see here we have the option for the email ID. So if I click on the continue, it will say required. Now here, if I put any invalid email ID, it will say invalid email ID. So now if I put any valid email ID, snippetcoder@outlook.com. So now if I click on the continue, you can see loader is loading. It will send the OTP. So here we have the screen for verification code. Here we have to add the 4-digit code which we have received in our email ID. So now let's go to our email panel. So for the email, we are just using our fake email, that is Ethereal. So here you can see we are getting the registration OTP. So if I click here, you can see this is the OTP which we receive. So now if I put any invalid OTP here, if I click on the continue, it will say invalid OTP. So now if I put here valid OTP, that is 3759. If I click on the continue, it will say success. That means our OTP system is working perfectly fine. So before starting the video, if you are new to our channel, subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you. So in our Node.js, we are going to use two packages. First one is a node mailer, and this will be used for sending the emails. And the second package we are going to use that is OTP generator, and this will help us to generate the OTP. So now let's move to our Node.js application. There we will write our Node APIs and all. So here we have two folders we have created in the project. First one is for our API and second one is for our Flutter application. So we will go to our CD API folder. And from here we will just install the package, that is npm I express, and this will be our express server. So I have already created the video on how we can create our Node.js API for the basic and all. You can watch the video. If you have not watched the video, I will put the link in the description. So now we have to add both the packages. Here we will copy this one and we will paste here. So now we will add another package. We will copy and we will paste here. So now both the packages has been created here, you can see here. And here we will initialize the Node.js API project also. We will write here npm initialize and we will press enter here. So project has been initialized and we have already added all the required packages also. So now we will create some folders here. First folder we will create here is services. Then we have our controllers. Then we have our routes. So now we will start adding the files here, and before that we have to also create our index.js file that we will write later on. Before that we have to create a new file inside our services folder, and we have to create two files. One is for our emailer and second one is for our OTP service and all. First of all we will write here for the emailer. And here we have emailer.service.js file, and here we will create the object for our node mailer is equal to require, and we will put the package name here node mailer. And here we have to create one function, and that function will be used for sending the email, and we will write here async function send email. In the parameters we will put here params, then we have callback, and here in the params we will have our model file and all. Then we will create one object for where transport is equal to node emailer dot create transport, and here we have our host name. Here for that emailer we are just using our third-party library that is for our sending the emails and all, but that will be a fake emails. You can use your own SMTP here, but here in the video demonstration we are just using third-party fake email and all. And let me show you. So this is a service which we are going to use. This is Ethereal, and this will be used for sending emails and all, and that will be fake emails. And this is our username. Then we have password. So we are going to use this one. Here the host name, every configuration is mentioned here. We can just copy this code also and we will paste there. So now we will have the options here and we will write here where mail options is equal to, we will create the object here. First one will be from, that means the mail is coming from which email ID we have to put here. We put here snippetcoder@gmail.com. Then we have two, that will be the email ID where we have to send OTP, and we will write here params.email. Then we have our subject of the email, and we will have params.subject. All these information we will send from this function, and this service we are going to consume in our OTP service class. Here we have text params.body. Then here we have to call this method transporter.sendEmail, and we have to pass this mail option. And here we have the callback function error info, and here we will check if we have error. Then we will pass here callback error in the else, and we will put here return. Here in the return also we will write return callback, and we will pass here null info dot response. So to distinguish our callback function, inside our callback function we have two things. One is error, the second one will be our result or response, you can say. That's why we are putting here null, because our error is null here and we are passing here response. And from here we will write module dot export is equal to object, and we will export this method here. If we not do this one, then this function will be not accessible anywhere. So now what we did here, we have created one method that is send email, and here we have params. Then we have our params is like parameters, and then we have the callback here. Then we have our transporter. We have created one variable that is transporter, and we will calling here the function that is node emailer dot create transport, and we are creating the transport here by putting here host port number. Then we have the authorization details and all. Then we have our mail option. We have from where we are getting the mail. Then we have to, then we have the subject here. Then we have our text here. And then we have we are calling here function that is transporter.sendEmail, and we are sending the email on the basis of this mail options. And we are checking here if we are getting error, then we are returning here error. In the else condition, we are returning here information which we are getting the response from our function, and then we are just exporting here. So now we will create another class, and we will name it as a otp.service.js file. And here we have to create two functions. First one is used for our sending the OTP, and the second one will be used for verifying the OTP. Here we have to create the object for OTP generator is equal to require, and we have to pass the package name here, that is OTP-generator. Then we have constant crypto, and this one also required for our keys and all. We'll pass a crypto. Then we have to create one key here, that will be our secret key. We can put any key here. We are putting as a test 123. Then we have to call the email service here. Email service is equal to require, and we have to pass our email service here, services/email service. So now here we have to create the functions. First one will be our async function send OTP, and we have our params callback. Then here we have to create one variable, and there we have to generate our OTP here. We will write here OTP generator dot generate, and we are going to create that 4-digit OTP. You can create according to your requirement here. Here we are just using here digits. We will put here digit true. Then here we have to create that time, for how much time that OTP will be alive, so that after that time it will be expired. We will have constant TTL is equal to 5 into 60 into 1000. That means it will be for 5 minutes expiry. Here we have constant expires is equal to date.now, and we will pass this time here. That means token will be expired from date now till 5 minutes. Then we have constant data, and we have to create some data for this OTP to validate that OTP is linked with that email ID and all. We will have here perms.email, then we have $, then we have dot, then we have $, OTP dot expiry, expires. Then here we have to create the hash, and on the basis of that hash key it will be validate that OTP will be for that particular user and all. We will have constant hash is equal to crypto dot create HMAC, and we are using a SHA 256. Then we have the key here, and we'll put here update, and we have to pass this data dot digest, and we are using a hash key. So what it will do, it will create the hash key for us by using this crypto, and we are using here this method that is create HMAC, and we are using here SHA 256 encryption here. Then we are passing our key here. This is the key which we use. You can use any good key, and because we are using it, we are just doing the testing here, that's why we put here test 1 2 3, but you can put any secure key here. And we are just updating this data with this crypto and all, and we are converted it into hash key. So now we have the full hash that will be passed in our response. Hash is equal to this hash dot expires, and here we have to write our OTP message. OTP message will be this one: dear customer, OTP is the one-time password for your login, and this OTP will be this one. So now here we have to call our emailer also. We will write here where model, and we have to create the object which we have to pass in our email service. We will write here email, and we will map it with our params.email. Then we have our subject. We will put here registration OTP. Then we have our body, and we will use here this OTP message, and we can validate here. We required this body, subject, and email that we are creating here. So now what we have to do, we have to call here email service dot send email, and we have to pass this model, and here we have error result, and from here we have to check if error. We will return here callback error. In the else we will call here return callback null full hash. So what we did here, we have created one function for sending the OTP, and we have params and callback, and here we are just generating our OTP here. And for generating the OTP we are using here digits, and we are just using 4-digit number. Then we are just creating the expiry date and all. Then we are creating the data for our hash and all, and in the full hash we will send in our response, so that on the basis of this response we will validate our OTP and all. Then we have the params for our model for our emailer and all, and we have email ID. Then we have subject body, this one is a body. Then we have our email service, we are calling as send email, and we are passing a model. Then we are checking here if we are getting any error. We will call back here error, and by default we are just calling a null, and we are sending the full hash key. That hash key user has to store in the application, and later on when we are verifying the OTP we have to call this OTP plus that full hash, so that on the basis of that it will validate the OTP is valid or not. So now we have to create another method, and we will name it as a async function verify OTP. Here we have params callback Then here we have to create hash value expires is equal to params dot hash dot split, and we have to put a dot, because here if you see in the full hash we are just passing two things. First one is the hash key, then we have our expire time. So here we have both the values, hash value and expire, because here the hash is the first value and that's why we put here expire is the second value here. And here we have to put one variable now is equal to date.now. Here we will check if now is more than parse int, and we have to pass here the value expires. Then we will return here callback OTP expired. So in our verify OTP we will get email, OTP and the hash key. On the basis of that we will create a data here, and then we will match both the hash keys here. Here we will write let data is equal to, here we have our params dot email $, then we have params dot OTP, then we have dot params dot expires. This will be this expire. So now we will create here one variable, that is let new calculated hash is equal to crypto dot create hmac, and we will use everything same here SHA 256, and we have to pass this key also. Then we have update data dot digest hash. So now here we will only check here if new calculated hash is equal to hash value. Then we will return here callback, error will be null, and we will pass here message success. By default we will return a callback invalid OTP. So what we did here, we have created one function that is verify OTP, and we have params and callback. Then we are getting the hash value expire from our params.hash by splitting with dot. Then we are creating the date now, and then we are checking here if the now is more than our expiry date, then we will call here callback OTP expired. That means our OTP has been expired. Then we are creating a data here with that params.email, then we have params.otp, then we have our expires. Then we are creating the new variable that is new calculated hash, and on the basis of the same keys and everything we are verifying here if our new calculated hash is equal to our hash value which is coming from that params. Then we are returning here success, and else we are just returning here invalid OTP. And from here we will return module dot exports, and we will return here create send OTP. Then we have our verify OTP. So now we will move further and we will create our controller file and all, and here we will write otp.controller.js file. First of all we have to import our OTP service. OTP service is equal to required, and we have to give the path here /services/OTP service, and here we will have exports.otp login is equal to request response next, and here we have to call our function which we have created over there in our OTP service. You have send OTP, and here we have to call here OTP service dot send OTP, and here we have to pass our request dot body. Then we have a callback error results, and here we will check if error. Then from here we will return response dot status 400.send, and here we have message error, and data will pass here this error, and by default we will return here response dot status 200. Then same we have to do here, we will copy this and we will paste here, and here in the data we will pass here results. So what we did here, we have just created one function that is OTP login, and then we are just calling our OTP service by calling this function that is send OTP, and by passing here request.body, all the parameters coming over there. Then we are checking here if we are getting any error, then we will return here error with the status code 400, In by default we are returning here result and a status code as a 200, and we will change this to success. So now we will copy this one and we will paste here, and same way we will call here verify OTP, and rest all will be same here, and here also we will change it to verify OTP. So here we are just calling our verify function, above we are just calling a send OTP. So now we will move further and we will create our route file. Here we will write the file here app.routes.js. Here we have constant OTP controller. So we are using the pattern of like we are having all that our data access layer or anything in our service file. Then we have our controller file, and that will be for our business logic and all. And here we have to import our controller file. Put here .controller/OTP controller. Then we have constant express is equal to require our express server. Then we have constant router is equal to express.router. Then we have router.post, and both the requests will be our post request, and the first one will be our /OTP login. And here we have OTP controller.OTP login. Whenever user call our API, that is OTP login with a post request, this function will be called here. Same way we have to do for the verify also, OTP verify, and this one also we will change it to verify OTP. And from here we will just export module.exports is equal to router. So what we did here, we have created two router here. First one is for our OTP login and the second one is for our OTP verify. And here we are just calling a controller.OTP login, and in the second we are just calling a verify OTP. So now we will move further, and in the index.js file we will call our routing and all. First of all we have to create that express, and we will call here require express. Then we have app.use, and we will call here express.json. Then we have app.use, and we have to call our routing and all /API. Then we have require./routes/app_route. So now we will start our server, and we'll put here app.listen, and we have to mention the port number here. We are using a 4500 function, and we will write a console.log server started. So whenever we run our application, this message will come, that is server started. That means there is no issue in our application, everything is working fine. So now let's run the application and see is it working or not. And here we are using node mode, and we will put here JS. Here we are getting some crash here, and let's see what the issue is. So here the issue is we forget to create a variable, that is app is equal to express. This one we will save here, and you can see we are getting server started. So now we will open our Postman and see is this API is working or not. Here we will put our localhost, and the port number we are using here 4500. We have /API/OTP-login. This one we will change it to post request, and here we have body, and in the body we will just pass our email ID. We can put an email ID here, test@gmail.com. This one we will convert to double quotes. So now let's click on the send, and let's see is it working or not. So here you can see we are getting message success, and we are getting this hash key also. So now let's see in the email we are receiving the email or not. Here you can see we get the email, that is sent to test@gmail.com, and the subject you can see registration OTP. Now if I click here, you can see we are getting this OTP also, but this OTP is coming with our digit plus our alphanumeric also, that we can change in our application. And let's see why it is coming in alphanumeric. So here we put the digit true, but here we have to put some more thing like uppercases as a false. Then we have special character false. Then we have our lowercase alphabets false. So now let's do again, and let's see what OTP now we are getting. So if I click again on the send, now let's go to the messages, and if I click here, now you can see we are getting the OTP only in the digit, not in any alphabetic and all. Now let's verify our OTP also by calling the verify API, and for that we have to copy this one, and we have to pass here hash Then we have our OTP. First we will put the invalid OTP and let's see, and we will click here send, but here we have to change the path also. So new OTP has been generated, so we have to copy that one, and we have to go there again, and we have to note the OTP here, and we will put one more digit as a invalid. Now in the endpoint we have to copy this one and we have to paste here. So now if I click on a send request and let's see, so here we are getting invalid OTP because the OTP we have added the invalid. So now if I click remove here too and let's press send here, so now you can see we are getting a success because the OTP we have entered is valid. So now that means our APIs are working perfectly fine. So now let's move further and we will create our Flutter application, and there we will integrate this API. So this is how you can validate your emails with that OTP and all. So I hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe channel, like, comment, share. I will come back soon with another awesome video. Thank you for watching a video.